Come on down, step right in. Carole's Kitchen, where we begin. See what's cooking, something new. Plant-based power just for you. Delicious meals on every plate. Healthy choices, feeling great. Inspiration in every dish. Taste the magic, it's our wish. Power to the plants we sing. Health for you, it's everything. Cooking up a storm in there. Carole's Kitchen, love and care. Education one bite at a time. Nourishing the heart and mind. Join the journey, let's unite. Pure plant power feels so right. Power to the plants we sing. Health for you, it's everything. Cooking up a storm in there. Carole's Kitchen, love and care.
Hello, everyone. Welcome. Happy to welcome you to our monthly series, Cooking with Chef Carole, our beloved Chef Carole, and thanks to Jim Spellos behind the scenes. Anyway, this show is presented by Plant Powered Metro New York, and to those of you who are joining us from the Marlene Meyerson JCC in Manhattan, welcome to you too. Plant Powered Metro New York empowers people to achieve better health and overcome chronic disease through a whole food, plant-based approach to nutrition. We offer evidence-based education, resources, and a grassroots network of support to create community and inspire change. Together as leaders, organizers, and educators, we raise awareness about the dramatic health benefits of whole food plant-based nutrition. We empower individuals to make their own lifestyle changes, and we lead projects that spark changes in food policy, food practice, and food culture. So welcome to our organization that spans well beneath the ground than the cooking show, kind of like the roots of a tree. We're spread out in various communities in New York City and now places even across the country. It's March, and in New York, the farmers markets are featuring a lot of late winter storage crops, they call them, potatoes and onions and root vegetables and overwintered greens like spinach and kale. And sure enough, the beginning of spring, despite it being very cold, that's why I have a scarf on, we are seeing radishes and ramps and garlic and things like that, mushrooms, all kinds of stuff in the market. So as always, we encourage you to shop at your local farmers markets. If you've got regenerative farmers nearby, please support the regenerative farm movement. It's healthier. The quality of the soil really makes a difference. By the way, this is a complete aside, but Jack Schlossberg is running for office here in New York City. And today I gave quite a mouthful to his representative about food policy, and getting rid of glyphosate in our chemicals. So there you go. I'm being an advocate, and now publicly on the show being an advocate. So there's lots going on, a set of very quick announcements and some that we're super excited about. Our show today is celebrating our 6th anniversary. So we're super excited. Jim and Carole, myself, and the whole Plant Powered Metro New York organization, we're thrilled. We're 6 years old. And our organization, Plant Powered Metro New York, is celebrating its 7th anniversary. We have a gala going on this Thursday. It is a fundraising gala to really support our work. We are working, as I mentioned, in all the boroughs and beyond now in New York, in New Jersey, in Connecticut, on Long Island. So we are literally branching out. I didn't even think about that with the tree earlier, but we are branching out to many, many communities. A lot of our work is either free or just very small stipend, money. So your donations really, really make a difference. If you're in the area, please come together with us. It's the theme of the evening is woven together, because We are, and we're honoring the shared stories and partnerships and the commitments that have shaped plant-powered Metro New York for our first 7 years, and then the collective future that we're building together. We're also going to be honoring Ocean Robbins, the founder, along with his father, John Robbins, of the Food Network. And John, of course, has passed away. We're honoring him posthumously. And for those of you who aren't aware, there is a movie out there called Love Over Money, all about John Robbins' journey. I'm pretty sure it's on Netflix or maybe on Amazon. But please come join us for the gala if you're in the New York area. And then we have some other very fun events in Parkchester. We're having a live cooking demo on March 21st. It's a Saturday at 3. We're having a virtual, so for all of you not in New York, Recipe Rescue. It's a new class, and as often as we can, we're going to be featuring like a classic recipe. In this case, it's going to be Alfredo sauce, and we're going to present how it can be, it's usually a very cheesy sauce, how it can be shifted into a healthy, whole food, plant-based version of it. And then you'll see if you go to register for it that we're also offering, asking for your suggestions. So if there's a recipe that you may want to have translated to whole food, plant-based, just let us know, and there's a way to reach out to us. We're also doing a live screening of Love Over Money in Parkchester on March 29th, and moving into April, which is super exciting for those of you in the New York area. Carol, I know, will resonate with this, but we're having our beloved Dr. Neil Barnard is going to be in New York City. He's doing a 3-part event, 2 in the city and 1 or 2 in the New York area and 1 out in Long Island at Hofstra. And that'll be on April, oh my gosh, I don't have the date. I'm pretty sure it's April 12th, from what I can remember. And Dr. Barnard, of course, has been a pioneering physician in the whole food plant-based movement and the founder and president of PCRM, which is Physicians Committee of Responsible Medicine. So if you're in the area, please register as soon as you can, because those tickets, at least in the city, may go quickly. And Carol, I know, got on board as after one of the events by Neil Barnard. Okay, guidelines. Please let us know where you are from where you are in the chat, and also please ask us questions in the chat. Carol and I will try to answer them as we move through the recipes, but we also try to leave time at the end if there's questions, and we'll just get to as many as we can. And if you're enjoying the presentation, please like us on Facebook or YouTube and even LinkedIn if you're watching from there. So I know we're eager to get started. Fun facts, we're going to work with artichoke today. And here's something that may be really fun. Ancient Greeks and Romans considered artichokes to be a delicacy and even an aphrodisiac. In the 16th century, women were not allowed to eat artichokes because of the food's amorous reputation. What a shame. Anyway, what makes them valuable? They're a good source of vitamin K, folate, and potassium. And all this is from, and there's more information from Dr. Furman's book, 100 Best Foods. And we encourage you to get this because it's really fun. Okay, Carol, I'm finally yours.
Oh my gosh.
Happy birthday to the
Thank you, Wendy. I have so many things to comment on what you said, all the things that I'm trying to keep it straight in my head. One, I'm glad you're wearing a scarf because I threw on a turtleneck at the last minute because the sun is not shining here today. And I don't think it's freezing cold, but it's windy and I'm cold. Two, I'm excited that you all are having the fundraiser for 7 years of Plant Powered Metro. And you mentioned us being 6 years. We started the month of the pandemic. We had to switch all of our things that we did in person right online. And
right.
Here we are 6 years later, still going at it. And I'm sure there's other things you said about the farmers market that I want to say something, but we are doing root vegetables today. Not every single thing is root vegetable that we're doing. The dip is not. We're going to do a carrot soup with a chili, like a cilantro and kind of chili peanut salsa. And then we're doing fennel salad, which is also a root vegetable. And it is that kind of funny time of the year now where we're starting to, we're anxiously awaiting spring, and some spring things are coming out, but it's still winter. And so I know I'm not seeing any spring vegetables until at least the end of April, because we're here in the mountains, and it is my 5th anniversary here also in New Mexico. So lots of anniversaries this month, and we'll get started and then we'll continue talking. So I want to get started on the soup because it takes time for it to cook, and we have to puree it today. So I wanted everything to get cooking. So we're starting out with the soup. We're starting out with 1 large yellow onion that I've just cut up. I haven't even been very careful at cutting it up today. I just diced it. It's a little larger than I normally would, but it's going to go in this very hot pan. And I'm just going to put a little water. And you see that steam that's coming off the pan and the sizzle? That pan is hot and ready to go. So we're going to put our onions in there. And we have to make sure that we have a little bit of broth or water, either one. We're going to be using broth today. So I'm going to just pour just a little bit in. I have this at kind of a medium-high heat to get the onions going. And we're basically sauteing. We're sauteing. Sometimes we call it water or broth sauteing. People that are just brand new to leaving oil, you can accomplish the same dishes. It's really amazing without pouring the oil into the pan. And so these onions are already starting to cook because the pan was hot, and it feels good. I almost want to put my hands there because I just like the way that it's feeling. Because again, I'm a little chilly here. And we're going to start just adding the things that we need to add. There's not a long list here. There's no garlic in this, but there is quite a bit of ginger, fresh ginger. So I have grated and I've measured out 2 tablespoons of fresh ginger. And we're just going to get that right into the pot now. And we're going to give it a stir. Now, when you're water or broth sauteing, you don't want the vegetables to be swimming in the water. You just want to kind of use the water to kind of keep things moving along. Right now, the pan looks a little dry, but already the onions are starting to release their natural juices, which is sugars, and they're just normal juices. And they're already starting to become transparent. It's a pretty fast situation here. If for some reason your onions were all sticking, you would just add a little more broth or a little more water, and you would release the stickiness and then move things around. So you do kind of want to pay attention because things can get stuck. But all of this looks very delicious. So I got a big bag of carrots, a 2-pound bag of carrots, in fact, and I peeled them and I cut them up. I got a whole bowl. I probably have a good 5 to 6 cups. And my carrots were like really short and fat like this. I left one out for you. And honestly, you don't have to peel them. There's a lot of times when I eat carrots that I don't bother to peel them at all. But today, when I needed to make a broth for the soup, and I had none in the freezer, so I collected all the peelings from the carrots, the onion peels, and I had some things in the freezer in my bag of broth, and I boiled it, and I made a very beautiful broth. And I probably have a good 6 cups here. I'm probably going to need a little water because I probably don't have quite enough, but a quart here and another half here is about 6 cups. And I think we need at least 6 to 8 cups. So that is what we're going to do now, is we're going to put all our carrots right into the pot. Okay. And we're going to stir it around, and we're going to cover it with the broth. And we're just going to let the carrots get tender. And then we're going to finish off the soup in the machine. But basically, the soup only has ginger, onions, carrots, and then we have a little surprise element, which is 2 tablespoons of peanut butter. But I'm not going to put that quite in yet. And we have a little bit of lime and a little bit of black pepper. But it's a very simple soup, and I like that very much. So what I'm going to do is cover this. And you know what? I'm going to leave the smaller one behind here. And I'm going to use the bigger one, the one that's totally full. And as long as the carrots are pretty covered, like they're not quite covered, it needs a little more liquid actually. But I'm going to save a little bit of this. And like I said, we're probably going to need a little more. We're going to have to make up the consistency of the soup with a little bit of water. But that's okay. The reason I don't add all the broth right this very moment is because it's all going to cook down anyway. And the more liquid that is in the pot, the more I have to move it to the blender. So if you have an immersion blender, you could easily just keep the soup in the pot and take the immersion blender and blend it away here. But I really love this soup when it's smooth and velvety and creamy. There are soups that I keep, semi-chunky and smooth at the same time. But this soup, you want it to be nice and creamy and velvety. So we're going to get the lid, and I'm going to just kind of put this up a little bit and make sure that it's going to start to boil. Okay. I can't imagine that there would be any questions right at the moment, but we're going to make the cilantro chili salsa, so it's just ready for the soup. But does anybody have a question right this minute thus far for what we've done?
There's no question in the chat, Carol, but preemptively, if people don't want peanuts, can they use a different nut like almond?
Oh yeah, you could use an almond if you want. I guess you could probably use a cashew if you wanted. And I kind of made up this soup, Wendy, and I think I would kind of call it an Asian soup. I was trying to figure it out, like what is this
Ginger.
soup? Like what? Well, it's got the ginger, and it's gonna have cilantro and jalapeno and things, and because I make a sweet potato stew that has some peanuts in it, like a peanut sauce, like a little peanut, but that's South African. So
Yeah.
I think adding just a little peanut butter just kind of gives it a little edge, just
Yes.
a little edge. And if you needed to omit the peanut butter for any reason, allergy or anything, just omit it because the soup will be delicious as is. Maybe you would want to add a little more lime to it, a little lemon or some other kind of flavoring. But the peanut butter, the little bit that we use, really gives it a nice edge.
Lovely.
Okay, so let's make, now I don't know how many people actually own a mortar and pestle. So I thought we would start off here by not using the mortar and pestle, even though I want to use it. I'm afraid that a lot of people might not own one. And so I thought that we would just start by, we don't want this salsa that I'm making to be smooth and creamy. We don't want that. I want it to be kind of chunky. So cutting it with a knife, and I'm just was gonna aim and kind of show you a little bit is if you didn't have a mortar and pestle, what to do. Okay, so let's just say I've measured, I had a half a cup of packed cilantro, and I had 2 tablespoons of peanuts. And the peanuts are the kind that are raw and have no salt on them. Okay, that should be pretty easy to find. I buy them in the bulk food section. So hopefully maybe at your store, you can buy what are called raw peanuts. Sometimes raw peanuts are technically roasted, but usually when you find peanuts that are roasted, they've already added the salt So try to find the kind that have no salt. And while we're talking about no salt, let's just talk about the peanut butter. And I've made a lot of things on this show with peanut butter, and we talk about it often. But I do like, just some people are new and some people don't remember. And I just want to remind you that what you're looking for in the ingredients, if you're not grinding your own peanuts and making your own peanut butter, is you want just peanuts, and if preferably organic if you can find, but you want just peanuts. You don't want it to say palm oil, salt, sugar, added sugar. You don't want any additives. You just want peanuts. So this is organic, unsalted peanut butter. This particular kind says crunchy. I wanted smooth, but that was all they had was crunchy. So, but it's all going to get pureed in the soup, so it won't matter. And we're going to have chunky salsa anyway. So to this, we need to add some spice, and we're going to add some jalapeno. Okay, so we have a jalapeno here, just one. And if you're someone that doesn't like too much spice, then you want to be very, very careful. And I've just sliced, and it's the seeds that are very hot. We want approximately 2 teaspoons. I kind of roughly am looking at how much. And again, I've just sliced the sides off, and I'm kind of going around because I want to stay away from those. And I haven't even touched them yet. If for some reason you want to use the whole thing, you can just take a spoon, maybe even a measuring spoon, and scrape out your jalapeno seeds and remove them so that you're not eating them. So we need approximately 2 teaspoons, and I'm just going to cut that over on the side here. Just looking at what I'm kind of estimating here. And for me, I like food that's spicy. But lately, for some reason, I have been making my food spicier than even I like it. I don't know what's gotten over me here. I've been it's like diving off in the deep end. You've gotten somehow very confident in your taste buds or something. I don't know, but I've been kind of eating more spicy food, and sometimes too spicy. So I'm just showing you this on the cutting board. I'm going to really attempt to get it into the mortar and pestle, because that's ultimately where you want it to be. You want it to be in a vessel of some sort. Now, if you didn't have the mortar and pestle, what I would probably do is, I have some lime juice here, and I literally would pour it. I guess we could do most of it here right at this very second. We need about juice of 1 lime, and I've got 2 limes in this thing here. And we're just gonna chop. Oh dear. Just rinse my hands there just to make sure.
Bless you.
Thank you. I don't know what, something got into my nose. Anyway, I'm just showing you here that you can make this chunky salsa right here, but you're going to have to spend a little more time literally chopping, okay? So those are for the people that don't have the mortar and pestle, but I'm going to show you what I'm going to finish it off in the mortar and pestle, because it's going to turn out, we won't be chopping forever here on the cutting boards, because the pestle actually does the mushing around. So basically, you're just going to really pound at it, and you're really mashing up the peanuts and the cilantro. And it's not going to really hold together, because there's nothing really to hold it together. If you really, really were convinced that you wanted it to be creamy, you could add a little tiny bit of avocado. That would certainly be delicious, now that I'm thinking about it. But I didn't make this up like this to be creamy. I meant it to be kind of a chunky kind of thing. And this is what it's going to look like. Coarse. Can you see that, Wendy? Pretty good.
Yes, it looks so colorful as usual. I love it.
And it's so yummy. And you'll see that when you put a spoonful of it in the soup and swirl it around, and it's kind of nice when the soup is really velvety and creamy, that this is going to be kind of like, oh, I just got a bite of a peanut. And it really adds to the flavor because we're going to put peanut butter into the soup. So this is really done. I've kind of macerated, kind of beaten it to death here. And I'm just going to keep it for now in the bowl here. But you could easily just take this and you could make more than the recipe calls for. I found that I had a lot of soup and I was eating the soup all week long. And I ran out in the middle of the week of the cilantro chill and had to make more. That's
Well,
how I was eating the cilantro jalapeno lime combination
I know
so
I was
often.
thinking that
But you
that
see, it's really chunky, Wendy. You
it's
see it?
amazing. I was thinking that that lime peanut combination I would probably put on other things. I'm not
Oh, yeah,
sure
you could
that that
spread it
looks
on
so
toast or
delicious.
I don't know, put it on a sweet potato would be
Yeah,
delicious.
amazing. That looks so
Right? I mean,
yummy.
gosh, we should people should write in the chat their ideas
Yeah,
because I feel like that's such a good idea, Wendy, to put it on other things. I
yeah.
like that. So I'm gonna leave our line here because I think we're gonna need it again, but we're just gonna move this. And let me just look at the soup before we move on. Yeah, it's starting to boil, but we really want it to boil. That's the thing. Carrots don't take too long. I would say about 20 minutes, but it takes a little bit for this electric burner to get up to heat. So we're going to move on to the next thing. I'm just going to rinse off the cutting board so we can get to the next thing. Are there other additional questions?
There are not any questions from the chat, but again, I have a question, which is how do you keep yourself from digging into the peanut butter jar?
Oh my God. Okay, well, that's a big question, Wendy. That's a big question
I
because
can't
it
keep
is a
peanut,
big.
even after all these years, I can't keep
Oh my
peanut butter
God.
in the house because
No, I
I
know.
just
I
not in
kind of try to
control.
forget that I have the peanut butter because I
That's
have
good.
the almond butter and I have the cashew butter, and it would be in all three jars, probably in the same afternoon. Um, and it's one of those things that I try to think about it as a cooking element, right?
Mm,
And something that I would not eat. Yes, of course you can spread it on bread or do whatever you want to do with it, but it's a little addicting. So I try to think about it that it's in the cabinet just for measuring and putting into something,
like
you know?
soy sauce or
It's
something.
kind of like how I think about you don't drive, Wendy, in New York. A lot of you don't drive, but it's kind of how I think about not eating in the car. Like
Yeah,
it's like I could eat my breakfast, lunch. I can eat on the go, but my number one rule in the car is no eating.
no
And
food.
so that's kind of how I think about the peanut butters in the cabinet. Like unless they're getting cooked and put into something, they're not getting eaten.
Love.
Although the minute that I open the cabinet and the peanut butter comes out, Isla, my dog, comes running because she has a bone that I put just peanut butter on and she loves it the most.
Yeah.
So she eats peanut butter right out of the jar quite often. So good question, Wendy. It's an addiction. It's something that's hard to not do. So we're gonna get a pretty bowl, okay? And I love fennel. It's an acquired taste. Maybe some of you might not like it. I'm not going to say that it's tastes like licorice because it doesn't really. It really doesn't. It's not. Anise is it's an acquired taste. But it's delicious if you can learn to like it. And there is a classic Italian recipe called insalata arancini, and that is fennel of orange salad, and it's made with olive oil and lemon and black cured olives and lots of red onions. And back in November of, what did I tell you earlier? November 18th? November 18th, 2020, actually. That's a long time ago. I did make that classic orange fennel salad, and it's a classic salad. But because I eat it often, I'm often kind of making variations on it. So today you get to see my slight variation on it. So I'm one of those people that when I pick a fennel, I look for the most, these are called fronds, and I look for the ones that have the most, because often these get cut away by the produce person. Sometimes they cut the whole thing off and they just sell this. But you want to have all these fronds, because that's quite the delicious part. And of course you can just use the knife to cut them off. But because it's sitting here and feeling like I need to give it a haircut of some sort, I'm just going to give it a little trimming. And you want to try to get all that hairy part off. Okay, you're not really going to use these long stem parts. But we are cutting off the fronds. Okay, and this one doesn't have so many fronds, I have to say. But yeah, I did go through the ones in the store, and it had the most. This had the most. Okay, so we're gonna leave the fronds here. That's step one of this salad, and I actually wrote out the steps very carefully because I kind of just do it without thinking, and I really stepped myself through it how I normally do it. So the very first thing you're gonna do is we're putting oranges in this, and we want to have the zest into that salad. Okay, the zest is going to really help give it a oomph, like a real flavor, because we're omitting any kind of salt. So you don't want to start segmenting these oranges until you have gotten the zest off of them. How much zest do you need? Well, I don't know. If you don't use it all in the salad, then just put some of it onto a plate. I've taught my friend Sherry kind of what I usually do at home here, and she does it, and I love it so much because I cook with her at her house. Wendy, much like I used to cook with you, when going over and cooking at someone's house and
I'm
having fun.
envious.
And I'm not replacing you, Wendy. It's just that I have to have somebody to do it with here in town. And it's my only SOS friend, and my good friend, Sherry. I like her. I love her so much. And she's a good cook too, just like you, Wendy. And she has all the equipment just like you. It's awesome. So maybe I looked for a substitute like you.
It's
But I
okay. I'm not feeling replaced.
Okay,
Just
you're not
this.
replaced. You're not replaced. I just want you to know. So here's all the zest in here, and I'm just going to tap it in here. But what I was saying is she's really learned to, I pretty much taught her to, before you're diving into your lemon, your orange, any of your citrus, to really zest it and get the skin. If you've buying organic, you've washed the produce very well, and just put it on a plate and let it live on your counter. Because the way that I often use it is to bring up flavor. I was worked in restaurants and using salt, and it's sometimes hard not to bring up flavor. That quick answer often can be, oh, I want a pinch of salt. But I have to tell you, the citrus really, really works as a way of bringing up the flavor, and it's so fresh. And citrus right now, it's really in. This is the wintry kind of time of year when all the citrus, the grapefruits and the oranges are amazing. So I got a lot of zest. Does everyone see that? And then what we're going to do is, so we want to get our oranges and our fennel prepared. So I didn't do anything ahead. Okay, and I'm just making sure this is really cooking, and it is, so that's good. Okay. And I'm gonna get just a knife. Not sure which knife I'm getting. I'm gonna get this knife that I put in the sink and just rinse it off. You can do
Carol,
this with a paring knife, a serrated knife, just depends how sharp. But you want to take the top and the bottom off of your um orange, okay? You want to be able to see both ends. Okay, I have the cara. They're really in season right now. They're pretty heavenly. In the winter, it's not time for the blood oranges this moment, but maybe where you live, maybe it could be if you're in California, possibly. And what was I going to say to you about the grapefruit? You would do the same. You could even put grapefruit in the salad. I think it would be quite delicious with the orange. And I think strawberries would be delicious in this salad as well. I haven't ever tried it, but now that I'm cutting the orange, I suddenly thought to myself, oh my gosh, this cara would in the strawberries that are coming out right now would be so delicious.
Carol, speaking of substitutes, we have a question whether you might use sumac as a substitute.
Sumac is in the recipe.
Oh,
So sumac is on its way and is coming. We're having a half a teaspoon of sumac in the salad. Did
oh, no.
somebody, is that answering the question, or someone didn't have the recipe? I'm not sure.
He may not have looked at the recipe, but now I see it. It's in the dressing. But it was just food for thought whether or not to use it instead of the citrus. And I thought,
Oh, well, I think the citrus is really kind of a marriage between the fennel. The citrus is a real marriage. And so I really wouldn't replace the orange because it's really kind of not the same salad. I mean, if you're going to replace it, like I said, you could use a grapefruit. That would be a great idea, but you're still in the citrus family.
got it.
And you could, like I said, cut open this and I suddenly thought of a strawberry help because these caras are so bright and orange. They're like prettier than a navel orange. You could use a navel orange. There's nothing wrong with you. And it's like I said, if it's the right season, you could also be using blood orange. So any kind of citrus is and you want to strip them. Hopefully I didn't really kind of go over it with you, but you're basically taking off all the skin, and then we want to take their segments out. And I'm going to get
And
a bowl.
just for the record, the idea of the sumac was to use instead of the zest. So it would just be a
Oh, well, you could use it instead of the zest, sure. But here I'm using it. You'll see that I use it in the dressing.
I
And then
saw.
and then I also say plus more for garnish.
Yeah.
So for those that don't know what sumac is, run to the store and buy some, okay? Just run to the store because it is a game changer on everything. It is a Eastern Iran. They use it in Persia. They use it a lot in the Middle East. It is a berry that is very. They grind it and it's very lemony. It's tangy. It's sweet. It's delicious on salads. In my past life, I definitely used it on meats or fishes, but it literally can be eaten, you know, dusted with any kind of rice or grain. Sumac is heavenly. Okay, that's all I'm going to say is that it's heavenly, and it can be a main ingredient, not in all za'atar, because sometimes za'atar is, but most za'atar has a base of sumac. So if you're not familiar with it, you can look it up. And where would you buy it? Likely at a Middle Eastern store. Definitely if you're in the New York City area, you're going to get your sumac at kula stands.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't really think you can really just buy it at the regular grocery store. You're not going to find it because it really is a specialty spice. But once you are having that specialty spice, I'm not kidding you, it's a game changer, and you're going to want to have it in your pantry all the time.
I
Wendy, do
think
you
as
have it? I'm sure.
I do, and I think that I just looked it up actually, and it looks like it's got anti-inflammatory qualities,
Yes.
and it's good for cardiovascular. It's good for muscle pain. So there's all kinds of health benefits. Sometimes those berries are pretty amazing with their
And the one thing I looked up, Wendy, that I didn't know recent till just when I was looking up its properties of because I didn't know all the health benefits from it. I saw that there is such a thing as poisonous sumac. And
oh
so, not that I'm picking my own. Now, in it, it has to have the right conditions to grow sumac. And people do grow it here in New Mexico. But now I want to be very careful. If someone were to give it to me, I have to make sure that it's not the poisonous kind.
yes, of course.
Because I never knew that there was a poisonous kind, So I'm just segmenting these oranges, and this particular one is being very annoying. It's not wanting to leave the little membranes. I'm taking it away from its membranes. I'm cutting through and just getting rid of that part that, yeah, you can eat it, but it's a little tough sometimes. And I'm making the orange segments. If you don't want to take it from the membranes, you can just slice it, into circles. Okay, but here's our beautiful oranges, right? Here they are. And you've gotten to kind of watch me do that. This is all fiber, and honestly, it can be eaten, but for now, I'm putting it on the compost pile. Okay, and what is very important before we start cutting our fennel is that we want to just get rid of all this juice into the bowl. This juice doesn't get wasted. And I mentioned that in the recipe, okay? That goes there. Now we're going to start hacking away at this, and we're going to take off its top. Now, there's really nothing to do with these, I have to tell you. Unless you are making a fennel soup, then I would definitely cook these in the broth. But we're not doing that, so we're just going to leave those. I have to make sure the soup is boiling like crazy. I always say this, Wendy. When the soup is boiling like crazy and you're away from the stove, it's really just okay. But when you're standing like 3 inches away from it, it's just too much sometimes. It's like I'm too close to it. So it has a root, it has a bottom, and I'm gonna take that off, just the bottom part. Okay. And that's also gonna go into the compost bin. And then we're gonna cut it in half. Okay, and we're going to cut it, and you see it has a fibrous part, much like green cabbage would have in this, and it's kind of like you want to take that triangle part out. You'll see it. It will become obvious that you don't want to eat that very part. Now, for those of you that have a mandolin, this is a great salad to make with the mandolin. I don't like getting my mandolin out because it's just too much of a pain to wash when I can just basically cut the same thing. Cut the things I need. Cutting off a little bit of. So what we're going to do here is much like an onion. It's solid, it's flat on the cutting board. We're just going to cut it as thin as we possibly can. And that's why I said this is a good one for the mandolin. But again, I don't know. Getting the mandolin out, cleaning it, being careful with my fingers. Somehow I always feel I'm a little faster with the knife. So we want all these shreds, you see? That's what we want. Now, we're going to put red onion in, and I kind of measure the red onion. I kind of do half and half fennel, half red onion, but that's going to be a little bit of a personal preference for all of you, because maybe some of you don't love red onion, okay? and I have many friends that would not eat this salad, or they would eat it and then they would literally pick out the red onions because they don't like red onions. So can you use scallions? Sure. but it's not going to be as beautiful because the red onions make it look beautiful. And the red onions are also nice and sweet, and they're a little bit crunchy. And I don't know. So I just think, and I think what would be very good is if the onions were pickled. That would really also be another good idea. Again, here I'm just chopping this away, and it's really, really as thin as possible. And does anyone have any questions about cutting the fennel? I'm just kind of doing it all. I didn't do any prep ahead. And you're just
Yes,
saying,
Carol, there are questions, only a comment about the fennel, which is Annette, who's been here often and actually presented for us at one point, I think, if it's the same Annette. She just said she never thought of cutting fennel that way. She usually cuts it on the long side. But yes, Annette,
oh,
this way
oh,
is
you mean so that
easier.
the ring she does it, she ends up more with rainbows.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Rainbows, and I almost never cut it like that, because I want these little, I don't know, the and when you get a piece that is like this, a chunky piece, it means the root is kind of still holding it together, and I just kind of separate it out.
That sounds great. And then there's a couple questions actually about your equipment. What kind of cutting board is that, and what kind of knife? And is there a type of knife for cutting vegetables?
Well, usually I use my French knife. Honestly, I have I have a couple French knives, and they're here in the in the thing, and just a French knife. This is a small 8 inch. No, it's 6 inch, I think, and this works too. I just because I was slicing and doing all this like really fine peeling of the orange, I just stuck with my serrated. It has a serrated and it's a Wusthof. It's probably time in my life to reward myself with some new knives, but I literally have had the knives for my whole adult life. I mean, when I went to my first restaurant job when I was 19, you can't show up without your own knives. And so, as a young person, I invested in what I thought was all my money in the world in these knives, and I've had them my entire adult life. But now they make Japanese. There's so many kinds of knives. But Wusthof is still kind of number one brand. And then as far as the cutting board, um, the New York Times just did a great thing on the wire cutter. If any of you read the New York Times wire cutter, they just did a thing on cutting boards. There's always controversy about cutting boards. Some people swear by the wooden ones, and they swear by them. Some people swear that I personally don't like the wooden ones at all because it's not what we use in the professional kitchen. We always use some kind of a plastic. I found that the OXO brand, that's what I have. It has these gripping edges. Sometimes you have to put a towel underneath it so it doesn't slide. But these OXO come in so many different sizes. They often come in a 3-pack, so you get three together. And I find that they're very good. Eventually, when I can't seem to clean it anymore and it's not, it's a little harder on your knife, maybe the OXO, but it's good. But everyone has a preference. I have seen recently like stainless steel cutting boards, and I haven't ever used one, but it does pique my interest for sure.
And do you use a special knife other than the French knife for vegetables, or do you use your French knife for everything?
I pretty much use my French knife for everything, and I use the paring knife that is looks like a small French knife, although it is called a paring knife, not a French knife. And I pretty much use the same knife for everything except for cutting bread, right? Serrated knife for cutting bread. And it's nice to have a serrated knife for tomatoes, slicing tomatoes, unless
Right.
you have a very sharp edge on your French knife. So Anyway, you see that I've just cut the onion while I'm talking to you, the red onion. I cut it in the same manner. I didn't cut it in the what I'm gonna call the kind of crescent shape rainbow. I cut it going the longer way so that I would have like pieces that look like, well, they kind of still look like half moons, but I wanted to have julienne, really paper thin onions. Okay, does anyone hopefully I answered the questions. You know, so
Yes,
much of what one uses in the kitchen is really personal taste, you know, what they like, you know. I do swear by my Le Creuset. I have to say, it's another pot that, just like the knives, just like anything that I'm going to use today, it is an investment. You know, the Vitamix is an investment. It's all investment. But what is that expression, Wendy, that you told me all the time when I first started in plant-based, and that Dr. Furman says? You invest in your equipment instead of your medicine or something like that?
I think when I was first starting, because I was concerned about the cost of the Vitamix, it was very expensive when I first started 20 years ago. It's still expensive, but he said, well, you could either invest in the Vitamix now or pay the hospital bills later.
Oh yeah, that was the expression. Yeah. Yeah. So if you put your money in the right place, right?
Yep.
So I just tossed while I was talking to you. This is covered now in the orange zest, and it's looking very beautiful. Can you see it's looking like super beautiful.
It's
I,
gorgeous.
I'm leaving the oranges to the very end. Normally, and then we need to. I just watching the time, but we're doing okay. The soup is cooking like crazy, driving me a little crazy because it's boiling like. But anyway, I'm just chopping right now the fennel. We don't have a lot of fronds. That part is disappointing to me because I like a lot, but we use what we have. You could use some parsley if you didn't like the way the fronds tasted, but it really makes a difference to the dish. You know, anytime you start to make substitutions, I just can't tell you what it's going to necessarily taste like. So normally when I make this dressing, like I said, the classic dressing is olive oil and a lemon juice for this Italian salad. But I'm gonna make a real kind of like a vinaigrette today. Okay, and you can see I'm just kind of spread out that fennel, and oh, I love it. This is just divine to me. I'm already like, I could eat the whole salad. To me, it's just the yummiest. Okay, so what we're gonna do now is we are going to, just a second, I put this in the wrong place. We're just gonna, I tried to do a little work ahead of time here. Okay, so the dressing is, I kind of made it up. And I'm just going to tell you what it is because we need a fat. And our fat is literally going to be 2 walnut halves. What is a walnut half? It looks just like this, a half. I'm using 2 halves, okay? I'm using garlic. I had 2 pieces because mine are small. So I only, the recipe calls for 1 to 2. I put 2 because it looks tiny. We need a little bit of sweetener, and I am putting date, 1 medjool date that has been pitted. And I'm going to reach over here, just 1 moment. Suddenly I have a runny nose. I'm not sure why. It is starting to be allergy season here. So I have been waking up with a runny nose, but I feel just fine. Okay, so we have our garlic and our walnut and our 1 tiny little date just to give it a little sweetener. Then we need a punch, right? A boof, a pump. So we're going to put in a 1/2 teaspoon. And let me get a little tiny, where's my favorite? I have a favorite. I actually did buy some new spatulas, but they're not these. But I tell you, I could have 20 little spatulas. I love them so much. I bought 2 new ones. Okay, so we have our 1/2 teaspoon of Dijon mustard. on my plate here, I have a half a teaspoon of sumac and half a teaspoon of ground coriander. Okay, that's going in there like that. And then we need to have a little bit of, now this is going for the next recipe. I don't know how it got on that particular thing. And we are going to have some lemon juice. One lemon juiced, which is approximately 2 tablespoons. Okay, so I'm going to put 2 tablespoons. We'll taste this to see what it tastes like. And sometimes this dressing is a little thick. It just depends on the size of the halved walnuts and the dates. But I'm just going to move this. But I'm going to put a tablespoon of water. It doesn't call for water, but I have made this dressing numerous times, and I often add just a little water for consistency. So I just put a teeny bit. So we're going to keep our sumac close by. We're going to move all this. We're going to continue to look at the soup. It's boiling like crazy. And that's our dressing. Walnut halves, 2, garlic, lemon, medjool date, Dijon, coriander, sumac. Okay, we're just going to throw it onto the NutriBullet back here very fast. Okay, and it's going to be like a vinaigrette dressing. But it's going to have a tang because it has that sumac. Now, when I first made up this salad, I thought about putting date slices into the salad because I thought that would be so nice in contrast with the what do you call it? Oranges. So I'm just putting this dressing. It kind of is all stuck to the sides, but it is a dressing. Like I said, if you needed to add a little water, a little more lemon juice, but it's kind of runny. And it's got a little bit of texture to it, which is just fine. Okay, I'm going to use it all for this. And I'm going to give this all a really great toss. Just give it a toss. And I'm going to put some black pepper. Okay, and you're wondering about the final ingredients. So I have a mixture inside my pepper mill here is a little bit of black pepper, red pepper, and green pepper. It's kind of like a medley, a mixture. You can buy the medley in the store, but I end up just buying each color and then just mixing my own. Okay. So this is looking delicious. It's not as wet as I would like it, but we haven't gotten the oranges in there yet. And I keep the oranges to the very end because I want them to stay bright colored and I don't want them to kind of disappear while I'm stirring all of the salad around. So we're going to give it a taste. Oh my God. Oh my God. Oh my God. It is so yummy. I have a ton of zest right there stuck on one piece of fennel. It's super delicious. Super, super delicious. We're gonna just take, I have some pistachios here. Not too many, maybe a quarter of a cup, a couple tablespoons. And I'm just gonna give it a rough chop. They're gonna go into the salad. I did give them a quick little toasting, but you don't have to, not necessary. Maybe we'll use them all because I have them out. And that way I don't end up with just a few. Okay, so these things are gonna go at the end. Okay, what we're doing just to finish off the salad is we're going to now put these inside, kind of mix those nuts thoroughly in there. Okay. And let's just get those off the cutting board there. And now what's going to really make the salad, you can't really judge the taste of it till we add all this orange, because while these oranges have been sitting, they have accumulated some juice at the very bottom of the plate. So I'm adding more flavor basically. I'm taking that membrane out and we're just going to lightly give it a good stirring. And you see, I don't want to over stir it at this point because I don't want the oranges to get all dirty with the other ingredients. I want them to be bright. I want them to look like they've just landed there. Mm. And that's the salad. But we finish it off with the wonderful spice of sumac. And I find garnishing it is quite special. And we running on time, Wendy. We're okay on time. So
We
that's a good
are.
thing.
That looks so good,
So a little
Carol.
sumac, because it gets all stuck onto the oranges and the fennel. And like I said, you almost can't go wrong. I'm putting too much sumac because it's tangy, it's sweet, it's a little bit of everything. It's quite delicious. I need to just kind of wipe down this bowl, but because it's got things everywhere. But let's just see if I can kind of clean it up a little bit so it looks more presentable. I'm only presenting it to you because after we get up done, we're just going to eat it all. But that's what that
Carol,
looks like.
it looks so delicious. I still remember the original one that you used to make, and that it was
Yes.
the first time I'd ever had a fennel salad with oranges. But this looks particularly good. I love all the
Well, I
different.
think I'm always trying to figure out another one. Do you know
Mm,
what I mean? Like, kind of like when you eat like we're going to make a dip today, and it's not hummus, but it's another bean dip. Do you know? And I
yeah.
just think I'm always trying to figure out new things that are similar to what I know, but maybe, but also different, just to
Delicious.
change it up a little bit.
Yeah.
To have the pistachios in here, because usually there are olives in here, and so the pistachios are really delicious with the whole combination. And like I said, a few sliced dates would be delicious if you wanted to add that. And also, I think some sliced strawberries would kind of just make it extra more beautiful. If you wanted, if you were really wanting to make more of a citrusy salad.
Mm-hmm.
So that is that salad. And I think what we're going to do is I'm going to taste one of these carrots because I think the soup is ready to be pureed. I think, but we just have to make sure that the carrot is hot. It's hot. Mm-hmm. Oh, hot. And I'm going to turn it off. I, I, mm, mm, mm. It's still boiling like crazy, even though I've turned it off. I don't really like moving soup, necessarily to the blender when it's so very hot. But we're gonna do it. I do have an immersion blender, but I love it in the vitamin. So I'm just cleaning the knives. Wendy, it's a good time to have questions. If anyone were to have a question.
We don't really have questions, just a lot of comments. The salad looks absolutely delicious, and Karina is here. Hi, Karina. And
Oh,
she says the pepper medley, the red, green, black, white pepper cloves are her favorite, and they give a lot of flavor to a dish, and I couldn't agree more. It's wonderful having the combination. Yeah, just a lovely set of compliments and some familiar names, Judy and Annette, who are often here, and yeah,
nice.
Michael, who's here. Yep, a
Oh,
lot of familiar faces, names.
nice. I like that. Well, what we're going to do, I think, really quickly, because we have a few minutes, and we don't have a few minutes, but I'm going to bring the Cuisinart over here. I have all the tools all the machines out today, because just to make it easier, I don't know, so not washing up everything. But we have the food processor here, and I think that I can try to get it plugged in over here if I unplug the Vitamix. And we're just going to make the bean dip like in a few minutes. And then we're going to puree the soup. That's what we're going to do. Okay, so you know what's going on. And things are, I don't know. The soup, like I said, it kind of, it's the burner is off and it's still boiling like crazy. But you'll see, I actually could take the lid off. That will help it stopping to boil. The lid is really serves that purpose. The good thing is that carrots are still all covered, but I didn't put in all the broth because the less I have to transfer, the better. And again, you can attack this with your immersion blender for sure, but we're gonna do it in the Vitamix. Okay, so let's make the dip that we're going to make. And I often run home from work. I come home at work at 1 o'clock in the afternoon. And if I haven't eaten lunch at work, I always make almost a salad for myself. And sometimes I change up the salad and I make just a wrap in a salad. But if you're making a wrap in a salad, I often want to have a bean spread of some sort. So it's usually hummus. Sometimes it's a red pepper spread. Sometimes I do different things, but this I've been enjoying all week, so I thought I would just share it with you. So I got 1 can of cannellini beans, and I just buy the no salt kind, cannellini beans, right? No, no salt. Very inexpensive at the Albertsons, the main store, one of the big stores here in town. So they're cheap. I keep them in the cabinet because they're backup to the when I'm cooking beans, or they're just backup. I always feel like I need to have backup. So those beans, and then 1 can of artichoke hearts, okay, quartered artichoke hearts. And I drained both cans into a colander and I rinsed the beans. What I did first was I put the beans in the colander, rinsed them with water, made sure all the juice was gone, and then I poured the artichoke on top, and then I let it drain, and it's been draining the whole time we've been together, Wendy. So a cannellini, can of artichoke. Then we have 1 clove of garlic that I already put in there. Then we need 2 tablespoons of lime juice. Okay, so let's get the lime juice, and we're gonna measure 2 tablespoons. We might want more for flavor, just depends, but let's start off with 2. Okay, right there, 2.
Does it matter if it's lemon or lime? I think the rest says lemon.
Probably not, but I'm using lemon.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'm using a little bit, if I could just find it. I always have Parmesan cheese made in the refrigerator for whenever I need it. Seems to last forever. I don't know if forever means. It probably means a couple months, but I just keep it in the fridge, and I've given you one recipe for it. You can make it however you want. There are many, many recipes online. I usually use a little bit of, this recipe calls for a 1/2 cup of cashews, a 1/4 cup of nutritional yeast, some garlic powder, some onion powder, and some white pepper. You can put Italian herbs in it if you want. You don't have to use the cashews. You could use walnuts. If you don't want to use the nuts at all, you could just use nutritional yeast. The nuts just give it another texture, another richer flavor, and really does make it taste like Parmesan. So we want to have 2 tablespoons of this. And like I said, from my convenience, I always have it. I often make soft polenta at home, and I always want to put the Parmesan cheese in that. And so I always have this, something just standard in my refrigerator. Okay, so that is 2 tablespoons of that. And then just a pinch of cayenne, not very much. Okay, you don't want it to be spicy. You just are putting just a pinch, just a little bit. Okay, and then we want to have either fresh rosemary or fresh dill. Okay, either one is what I'm going to suggest. And let's just find, remember I told you that I have all these little OXO cutting boards, and we need about 1 tablespoon. I have beautiful fresh rosemary that was just picked literally for me. Some people have greenhouses here, so it's nice to have. I actually still have a little bit in the yard, not too much though. So we don't have to really chop this so much. At the beginning, when I made this recipe the first time, I wanted rosemary, but I had so much fresh dill that I used fresh dill, but the rosemary is going to be delicious in it, especially the fresh aromatic. And it's gonna, yeah. So we don't need to really chop it up so much here because the machine is gonna do the work for us. I'm just gonna give it a couple chops so there aren't too many big branches. Okay,
Carol,
yes.
while you're chopping, a question, are cannellini beans preferred over white beans? In other words, can you, for this particular recipe, can you?
Oh yeah, you
other
could use
beans?
any white beans.
Yeah,
Honestly, sometimes the store doesn't have the cannellini beans and they have the Great Northern beans, and I find them to be interchangeable.
yeah, I do too.
So, and often the store where I go doesn't have both. So I get what's there, basically. And this, and when the cannellini ones are there, I buy a bunch of them because, like I said, they're only $1.29, so it's pretty. So I'm gonna put the machine on. I say in the recipe that you might need 1 tablespoon to 2 tablespoons of water to make it the right consistency, and I'm putting 2 tablespoons. One of my new spatulas. Oh my gosh. It's all one piece.
Lovely.
I know. I'm not kidding you. I ordered 2 at a time and I should have ordered like 5 because it's like they're like, I love them so. This
They
is
look
not quite
sturdy.
done. I don't know why. I just fallen in love over the years with little tiny spatulas. Lots of rosemary. We should taste it just so we know what's going on in here. It's all really beautiful and smooth and it looks delicious. Again, you could use it on almost anything you want. A wrap is how I've been eating it, but you could serve it. I actually made some pita chips and we could serve it with pita chips. I made some pita bread the other day, and what I did was, if you get pita, right? If you get big pieces of pita and you just cut them up into little triangles and you put it in the oven, you can spray it with some water, like a spray, and spray the bread so it's wet. Or you could spray it with vinegar or orange juice, anything, just get the bread wet. And then you can put on za'atar, or you can put on your favorite blend of spices. But this is a wonderful spice blend I have in a cupboard. Oh my God. This is the way we should eat this, is just eat it right out of the bowl. Probably. It's delicious. It's perfect.
It
It's
looks
so delicious.
delicious. It looks really
It's
yummy.
so simple, Wendy, and we put artichokes into a bean dip. And
Yeah.
I know it sounds like really a simple idea, and it is a simple idea, but it tastes delicious. And if
Yeah.
you put that on a tortilla and then you put your salad and then you wrap it up, or then you have a crudité, or I mean, endless, you could have a piece of toast with this and some greens
Also,
on the top.
with the
You know?
artichokes, it really enhances the nutrient value. So that's just super. Quick question from Michael. Going back to the previous recipe, meaning the carrot soup, does the soup get mixed with the salsa?
No, you're gonna see the soup in a few minutes. So Michael's jumping ahead and he just has to wait. We're gonna be done in a very few minutes, and he's gonna see how the soup comes together. Okay?
And then any gluten-free wrap idea, you could use corn tortillas.
For sure. And now they make so many kinds of gluten-free
Yeah.
tortillas. They
Mhm.
do. They make almond, they make coconut. I mean, they're not cheap, I have to say. They really are not inexpensive. but my friends eat them. I know many gluten-free people, and they buy the almond ones, and they like them.
Mm-hmm.
So what am I doing here? I'm just kind of trying to get, I've left some in here. It's not all gonna come out right away. But this is my beautiful artichoke, literally artichoke with an artichoke lid. See, eventually that lid will go there. But we can just get a plate. I'm not sure. We'll get, I don't know, an orange plate. We'll
And
put
I'm
this.
just going to answer this, that you can use those gluten-free wraps and also cut them in eighths or in quarters and air fry or bake them and make little chips out of
Chips.
them too. I've
Yeah.
made the corn tortilla chips, actually the ones from Trader Joe's, which are not particularly tasty, but if you make them into chips, they're really quite good.
And I think I showed just last month, Wendy, when we had their Super Bowl and we had the nacho cheese, that Ezekiel makes those nice corn tortillas. And if you
Yes.
just kind of cut those into wedges, and again, like I said, spray them with anything, water, juice, vinegar, and then put a spice on it. It could be anything you want it to, however you want them to taste, and then bake them slowly. Then you're going to have, it will be delicious.
Yep. I make
So,
mine in the air fryer and they're delicious. And I just use basic corn.
here's our thing. It's done. It's,
Beautiful.
it just looks just like this, you see?
Just beautiful.
Okay, so
Yummy.
we have to deal with this soup now, and we're at our final end, and I need to make room for potential trying not to make a mess. We'll just leave our little artichoke top right here in the plate, and we are going to really move everything. That's what we're gonna do. Because when you're dealing with hot soup, you have to be so careful.
Yep.
I got a bowl out, and you understand why I got a bowl out. This is not too hot, so I can tell. You see how there's almost no liquid. I
Mm-hmm.
did that on purpose. We're gonna need more liquid for the soup, for sure. And we're gonna have to use some water because I don't have enough broth. But water's just fine. There's nothing wrong with water. We already got the yummy flavor with the carrots and the onions and the ginger. So little water is just gonna be fine. If you wanted to be very fancy, you could use some kind of plant-based milk and make it a nice creamy soup. Okay, so, but I'm plugging in the Vitamix as we speak, and we are getting the little container. Now, this is going to be, and we're going to get the ladle. We're going to get a ladle. Again, I don't love doing this when it's hot. It is not something I love doing, but I usually go in there with the immersion blender. But this soup is so nice when it's super creamy. So I put it in. We need to have this water here, this broth. That's going to help get it moved around. Okay. We're going to face this towards me. I guess you can see it. Always worried about doing this. Something that I remember that I wanted to do that I didn't do was to put the 2 tablespoons of peanut butter into the batter, into the soup. So this is a good time to do it right now while it's in the machine. It doesn't matter if we put it into each batch or we put it all in at one time. It's all going to marry itself together. So just 2 tablespoons of peanut butter have gone into that soup. Okay? And that's going to go. Sorry that it's noisy, but that's what we have. See why I emptied the soup? So it can go right into the pot. It is like the prettiest color ever. It's
It
like
looks
bright
beautiful.
orange. It's like a fluorescent orange.
Mm-hmm.
Here's Isla to say hello. She's really ready to go outside, she says to me. She's sitting here by my feet. All week long, Wendy, I've been feeding Isla at the wrong time because you know how your cat used to
Yeah.
have both of them. You used to have two of them when I was there, but you only have
Yeah.
one now. But they cry when they want to eat.
Yeah.
And you always would say, "We have to feed the cat. We have to feed the cat." And I'd be like, "Well, can we just move on and the cat will get fed at some point?" But no, they wanted a schedule. They want a
My
schedule.
cat, you can set an alarm clock to my cat.
Well, Isla is a little bit like that. I kind of ignore that alarm, her schedule a little bit, because I'm on a weird schedule myself. And anyway, all last week when we did the time change, I was so messed up that I was not feeding her on time. I'm going to take this little lid off here if I can get it off. Sometimes I cannot. It is okay. I'll just take the whole lid off instead of the center part. It's still a little chunky in there, and I don't want it to be chunky. I want it to be smooth. Okay, so I'm almost at the top, so I kind of have to be careful here. And I'm going to just give it a little stir, just a little. Whoops. Sometimes the lid is a crazy lid. Okay, good. There we go. Okay, I think that's good enough. I don't want to do it anymore because I want to talk to all of you and we're needing to finish up. So here's the soup, right? And there's still quite a bit of soup in here, just a little bit. And remember I said we're going to need more water. So sometimes I know the way some people wash the Vitamixes, they actually put their detergent in here and then they put the water and they blend it all with soap. Achoo! Achoo! Oh,
Bless you.
I'm just gonna try to get it all out the sides, and we're gonna use that to wash out the blender, so that part is gonna go in the soup. Just it's so stuck because I pushed it down. That's why. Okay, and we're gonna put this soup back on, and we're gonna put all that water. We're going to stir it around. We're going to see the consistency of the soup. We're going to taste the soup. We're going to add some lime juice. The soup needs lime juice to finish it off. I have a little bit here, and I need another. Somewhere I have another lime here. I had one here. Let's just remove this and just squeeze the lime. Okay, so I'm squeezing a whole. Now the soup is not going to be totally hot. This is a very hard lime. Okay, lime. And I'm going to just look at the recipe to make sure that I'm not forgetting anything. Oh, and we need maybe a little black pepper, but we did some already. So we're going to taste the soup and see where we're at. Whoops, the lime just fell into the soup. That is perfect. Okay, put that there. I put it back onto the burner. It's pretty thick, this soup, so I'm going to add a little more water. Just a little bit. Not a lot. Remember I said we had about 6 cups, and we probably need a total of 8 cups. Really depends on how thick you like the soup. And just getting that all stirred up. We're going to taste the soup, see how it tastes. But adding the cilantro, chili, the special salsa that we make, gives it a little more dimension. So it's almost like we need to taste it, but then also keep in mind that we're adding more flavor. If you wanted, you could put all the chili, cilantro into the soup and just mix it up. But I wouldn't, only because you want to garnish. And I think, if you put it all in the soup ahead of time, then you've kind of lost out on the garnish. So let's just get a bowl. I'm going to grab a bowl right here. A bowl. We have, move this knife, move everything away. I'm just getting a bowl here. somewhere I have a ladle, a dirty ladle. So let's just clean it off. Okay, the soup we have to, is not quite hot, but let's just pretend it is. So we're gonna ladle the soup into the bowl, right? Size bowl, normally this ladle is 8 ounces, and normally a person's serving is 12 ounces of soup. Okay, and then we're gonna get our very delicious cilantro, and let's just get a spoon. So we're not gonna be able to swirl it so much. We're just gonna get a big spoonful and put it in, and we could swirl it a little bit so it's everywhere. But that's really how you're gonna serve the cilantro. And I would probably bring this to the table too, because some people might want more of that in their soup because it's a texture and it's lovely. You'll see once you get the two things married that it's quite delicious. And
It
that's
looks
really
amazing.
everything, Wendy. That's our whole demo today, and we got it all done.
You did, and it looks like the most amazing spring, really spring kind of soup, like somewhere between winter and spring, which is exactly where we are, at least here.
Yeah, I feel like we are in that place where we're
Mhm.
looking forward to spring. We sometimes think it is spring already, but then it's suddenly cold and we're wearing scarves and turtleneck shirts.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Which actually reminds me, Carol, for those of you who might be wondering about the holidays, Easter and Passover coming up, we do have from past years, Carol doing a Passover foods. And I don't know that there's any specific foods for Easter, but we have definitely done spring shows that you might find something for either Passover or Easter that is appealing on our
And
YouTube
Wendy,
channel.
can I interrupt you for a moment? People might not know how to go back. And
Oh,
all I'm just going to tell them is if you go to YouTube and you go to Plant Powered Metro New York channel, then on the very, very top, you'll see a lot of little boxes of different of current shows. But people that have been on a lot have playlists. And so you go to the top and you find playlist and you would find Chef Carol, and literally we have archived 6 years of food demos. So it's kind of fun to go through when we're in March and go back and look at all the March ones over the years, because it's all kind of current food, because I'm a seasonal cook and I like buying things from the market
yeah.
that is the most fresh.
Exactly. This is all of our shows have been seasonal. So thank you everyone for coming. Carol, thank you. You were probably not aware while you were using the blender, Jim had some fabulous pictures of you and Isla that he put up on the screen. It was just terrific. And those of you, is a darling. Yep, there you go. There's Isla.
Here she comes, and here she really comes. She comes when I call her. She's a good girl. See? She's a really good girl. She comes.
So sweet. So I'm going to hop back. For those of you in the New York area, please join us. I think we still have room at the gala. So that's Thursday night. Please come join us. It's our theme is woven together, and we do weave the community, the health, the connection, the individuals, our meetups for individuals, and then we have community partners in the work that we do all over the 5 boroughs and beyond. So please join us for that. We have upcoming events on all listed on the website. The Recipe Rescue is a new show. Hopefully it'll be a series. And the screening, Love Over Money. And then the Power Foods talk is the one in New York, in the city, by Dr. Neil Barnard. And again, he'll be, I believe, in Parkchester and also in Long Island. He's going to be at Hofstra. So that's in April. So please join us. Come out for all the fun. And Carole, thank you for such a lovely afternoon and great recipes.
Oh, and thank
to
you,
try.
and you and Jim have a great time at the gala. I wish I was there with you and celebrating Ocean Robbins, who is pretty. His father was amazing. He's an incredible person as well. And I know you're honoring other people, and I've been seeing the postings honoring the people that at JASA and all the community leaders. It's going to be a great event. And you'll
Looking
tell me all about it later.
I will. Also, Amy, I see your question to post the link for the recipe Zoom for the modifying standard recipes. It's on our website. So if you go to, I'm sorry, I don't have that link in front of me, but if you go to plantpowermetro.org, that's on the screen. Copy that, go there, and you'll see the link for, I think we're calling it Recipe Rescue. So there's a whole bunch of information there if you've got a question about your own recipe. So I think that's it for today. Thank you everyone for joining us. Great seeing you.
Come on down, step right in. Carole's Kitchen, where we begin. See what's cooking, something new. Plant-based power just for you.